Hey, good evening out there, all my people out there in Radio Land. It's Wednesday night. It's the night before you get fat and have that turkey and watch yourself some good football. So you know that means it's Wednesday night. It's 8 p.m. And I'm ready to roam here, and I'm glad that you spent a little bit of time with me here on the NGSC West Recess tonight. Now we're doing it a little bit different here tonight. We don't have my main man Josh Madsen with me, but we do have a couple of excellent guys that have been here before, and they're really great people. We got my main man, Shaq Croskey, from over there on the Flying Elvis Faithful. He's going to have a good time with us tonight. He's going to have a lot to say about that New England-Denver game, so tune in for that. And we also have, he really needs no introduction over here on the NGSC West Recess. He's been here quite a ton of times. My main man, the Sandman, he's going to be here. He's going to bring his smarts. He's going to bring his excitement, and we're going to have ourselves a great show. We're going to have ourselves a good time. And I guess before we get started here, I might as well introduce myself properly at this point. I am Jerome Butler, a.k.a. Raider Rome, a.k.a. the last king of Raider Nation, a.k.a. my little brother's big brother. And we here on the West, we are the most underrepresented of the lot. Our games start super late at night. Our Pac-12 teams, I mean, they have no team that's going to make the playoff from being a conference champion because they pretty much cannibalize each other. But their games start super late at night, so, I mean, the other regions, I'm sure you guys haven't got to see that too much. But, yeah, we got a lot going on over here. We got some good basketball. We got a basketball team in the Golden State Warriors who have actually broken the record for most consecutive wins to start the season at the expense of my Los Angeles Lakers, unfortunately. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. We got a lot to say about them. And that's not to say that we don't have fun, too. Me and Josh, we are the fun masters, and we have ourselves a hell of a time. I mean, it's going to suck without Josh tonight. But before we go any further, I'd like to say happy birthday to my main man, Josh Madsen. He's having himself a great time. I told him I'd hold down the fort for him tonight. So happy birthday, Josh, and we look forward to having you back next week here. And I'd like for you to say hello to my esteemed co-pilots on this vessel tonight, Shaq, DJ Shaq Croskey, and my main man, Sandman. Say hello to the people, guys.
Hello, tonight. How are you there? And thank you for having me on, Mamba, and it's nice to be on a show with you tonight, DJ.
Hey, Sam. Hey, Mama. Thanks, guys, for having me. Hello, guys and gals. It's good to be with you on this Thanksgiving Eve.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And before we get started here with our normal sports talk here, I guess we'll start with you, Shaq. What are you thankful for this holiday season?
Well, besides the fact that the Patriots are 10-0, I'm thankful for the fact that tomorrow I'm finally off of work. I haven't had to work the last 2 Thanksgivings. So this year I'm going to get fat and happy, even though I'm probably about 160 pounds. I can't even get that fat, but I'm just happy to be able to watch some football and spend some time with my family.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, man. It's going to be a great time. How about you, Sam? What are you thankful for over there this year?
Well, I'm always most thankful that I get to live in the United States and live under the freedoms and the protection of the greatest country in the world. And what else is better than Thanksgiving Day with your family, with friends, watching the NFL? Those are the freedoms that we have here, and I'm just thankful to all those soldiers out there who protect us every day and protect our rights.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a very deep point there, Sam. I appreciate that, man. And me, I'm just thankful that every Wednesday night I get to talk about teams that I love, a sport that I love, multiple sports that I love on this platform. I mean, I just have to say thank you to Kyle Nash and Ralph Garcia for actually giving me this platform. And they do it. They've done a great job running this network, and I just want to say thank them. And pretty much, as you said, Sam, thank you for being I'm thankful for being an American. And, hey, it's good being free. I mean, we got a radio show here where we can say pretty much anything we want and not have to worry about the secret police beating down our door. But, hey, we're not a political program, but pretty much, yeah, that's what I'm thankful for. And I'm thankful for my family also. And then I get to do this show with you guys tonight.
Good call, good call.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks to Ralph and to Kyle and to everybody at NGSC for allowing both of us to do what we love, and that's talk about the teams and the sports that we love. So, yeah, mad props to them.
No doubt there. Well spoken there, Shaq. Okay, I guess we'll begin here. Have you guys been following any college football lately? I mean, we got ourselves the latest playoff rankings have come out here, and 1, 2, and 3 are 1 and 2 are pretty much no shot. We got number 1 Clemson, number 2 Alabama here. Oklahoma, I mean, they seem to have shocked me. They lost a very, very ugly football game at TCU earlier this season, and now they're number 3 in the playoff ranking ahead of undefeated Iowa And that kind of caused a bit of an issue to me. I think if you're undefeated, no matter what, you should be ahead of any unbeaten team, especially if you're in a power conference. Notre Dame should also have a legitimate gripe also. I mean, they're fifth, and they lost. The only team that they've been beaten by is Clemson in Death Valley by 2 points here. So I think that they have a legitimate gripe also. But there's still a lot of football left to be played. And me and Josh, we talk about this every week. Although his Oklahoma State Cowboys did pretty much take the gas pipe last week against Baylor, so I'm sure the playoff is no longer in his dreams, although Oklahoma State can still win the Big 12 championship. So a lot of football left to be played. It should be pretty interesting. You been following any of this playoff stuff lately, Sam?
Yes, I have. I mean, obviously, I think Clemson and Alabama is your ranked number 1, number 2. It's a no-brainer. I'm with you on the belief that Iowa should be ranked number 3. I think when you're undefeated and you're playing in a tough conference like the Big Ten, that you got to get some credit for that. I don't think they're getting enough due for it. I think 4 is up in the air. You like Notre Dame? You know me. I think the schedule's soft. I think it's kind of weak when you see them with Boston College like that. I actually think Michigan State should be number 4 personally. I think you beat Ohio State, you beat Michigan. They've only got 1 loss on their record, I believe. I think they should be ranked number 4.
Good point. Although I go with Notre Dame just basically because of their 1 loss. I know I'm thinking about this a bit differently. Sure, Michigan State does have a higher strength of schedule, as does over Notre Dame. But Notre Dame, they do get a chance to make a pretty big statement this weekend when they travel out here to Northern California to take on Stanford. So if they drop the beat down on Stanford, hey, Notre Dame really does have a legitimate gripe at that point. But, I mean, that's pretty much the ball's in their court. Although I don't believe that Notre Dame will defeat Stanford, but it's right there for them. So you been following any of this stuff here, Shaq?
Yeah, I've been following it here and there. The main question I have, and I've just been wondering about it, is that I'm wondering if Baylor can get back into it because, I mean, the notion that's been out there is, they have a soft non-conference schedule. I guess they needed to go undefeated to reach the playoffs. So I guess when they lost last week at home to Oklahoma, they were done. But after beating Oklahoma State, I don't know, they moved up. So that's something I'm really interested in watching for the rest of that. And then Ohio State, after that crappy performance they had, and then Stanford, even with 2 losses, they're in a position to move back into the picture. So, I don't know, there's just a lot that can happen in a short amount of time. So those are the things that I'm watching.
Well, Baylor actually does have themselves a bit of a legitimate gripe there, Shaq. I mean, you went into Stillwater and you pretty much dominated undefeated Oklahoma State team. Now you get to go on the road against a TCU team who gave Oklahoma all they could handle. And personally, I believe that TCU, they should have beaten Oklahoma if not for a stupid coaching call. You got the momentum. You're winning the game. You scored the last 20 points. Why not go to overtime? They don't have the quarterback. You've got all the momentum. I'm going to overtime there, and I'm taking my momentum. I'm not going to leave it to chance with the 2-point conversion. So Gary Patterson, he's a very smart coach. That's just not something I would have done. So what I'm saying, so basically if Baylor wins out, I will say that they have themselves a legitimate gripe at it, just like they had last year. I just don't think they'll get there basically because the Big Ten is too strong. I mean, it's going to be out of Iowa or Michigan State, and one of those 2 teams will either jump over. Then you got this Oklahoma paradox. So the best thing that could happen for Baylor is Oklahoma State possibly defeating Oklahoma, and say you got Iowa losing to Nebraska this week, then they defeat Michigan State in the Big Ten championship. I know it's a lot of weird things that can happen, a lot of weird idiosyncrasies or what have you. But if these things do happen, I do think Baylor will be right there for that number 4 spot. Because Notre Dame, I still say, will lose to Stanford. But Ohio State, I think it's done. If Michigan State wins or Michigan wins, they don't play even for the Big Ten championship. So losing that football game really, really hurt them.
Well, I actually think Oklahoma State is going to knock off Oklahoma this week. I really do, which obviously will open up that extra spot. And I think Michigan State's going to beat Penn State. So I think they're going to slip right into that top 4 anyway. I think that Iowa-Nebraska game is real interesting. I don't think that's going to be a cakewalk game at all for Iowa. What do you think about that matchup?
Well, funny thing here, Sad. Nebraska is actually the toughest opponent that Iowa has faced in about a month and a half. So Nebraska hasn't mailed in the season, and I don't believe that they have, just by evidence of their victory over Michigan State a few weeks back. Hey, Iowa, they're going to be in for a tough battle there. Although I do think C.J. Beathard in that running game and the defense that they have, they'll struggle for a bit, but they'll put Nebraska away late. They'll get to 12-0, and they'll be ready to take on Michigan State over there in Indianapolis next weekend. But
yeah, I agree with you there. I think they will, but I think they will win that game. But I think it's going to be a really close game. I really do. I'm with you where I think Stanford will probably knock off Notre Dame, which will end any question about Notre Dame this week. I think the question of Baylor is a legit one, and I think what do you say about Baylor if they beat TCU this week? I mean, you got to consider them for that top 4.
Oh, well, Baylor can stomp out TCU. I definitely say it's like when Shaq asked this, hey, you definitely have to start looking at them. I just think they need a lot to happen over a short amount of time. The first thing that can happen for them is they need Oklahoma State to beat Oklahoma. I mean, we already ran through that one. And that will really help them. Notre Dame loses to Stanford. The best thing that will probably happen, Baylor needs Iowa to lose to Nebraska this week, so that pretty much takes them out of the equation before they even get to Michigan State. And then Iowa turns around and beats Michigan State. Hey, Baylor's right back there in the conversation. But Baylor, though, they lost their quarterback to a broken ankle, so I'm not even sure if they've got what it takes to take out TCU with Trevon Boykin returning. But Baylor right now, they're barely hanging on. And if all these things happen, December 6th, hey, we'll see. We'll see if Art Browns can finally get his team into that top 4. If not, hey, we get to see another interesting interview with him. He was pretty pissed last year. I'd like to see what he has to say this season if it happened again.
Yeah, well, at least all these games will be not only exciting, but they'll be really enjoyable eating Thanksgiving leftovers. You can't beat that.
Yeah, exactly. I plan on having myself a big, gigantic plate starting out Friday morning with that Navy-Houston game because, I mean, that game has the BCS Bowl kind of implications there. Both teams could represent the American Athletic Conference and actually get in one of those BCS games to take on a Power 5 opponent.
That'd be really cool to see Navy in a BCS game. It really would. I would love to see that.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, they got a quarterback in Keenan Reynolds. He actually holds the NCAA record now for career rushing touchdowns or career total touchdowns for that matter. So if he can get into a big-time game against a big-time opponent, it'd be a great way to close out his career. I mean, for the last 4 years, he's been just a big-time football player.
Yeah, without a doubt. And usually it's very difficult for these military academies to put up quality teams like this. It's not an easy thing for them to do. So that's why, to me, I get very excited when I see a Navy or an Air Force or an Army putting out a really, really good team. And it doesn't happen that often anymore. It really doesn't.
Yeah, well, Ken Watson-Olu, he's a very good football coach. I hope I didn't butcher his last name, but yeah, he's a very good football coach, and he's had Navy in bowl games 8 of the last 9 seasons. So, and this would just be the culmination of what he's put together in building that program. And you're right, it's very hard to have a dominant football team as a service academy team. And Navy, they just crank out 8 to 9 wins year after year. And this is finally the season that they finally broke through the glass ceiling if they can defeat Houston and win the American Athletic Conference Championship game next week.
Yeah, this would be the year. There's no doubt. It's all about this game against Houston on Friday. So, again, great day to have your leftovers watching Navy Houston on Friday at noon.
Oh, yeah, I'll be right there. And for those of you wondering where you can find that game, that's Navy Houston, Friday noon Eastern, 9 a.m. real time here on ABC. Check that out. Big-time group of 5 implications there. I'd love to see a Navy take on a team such as a Florida State or something like that. But that was our weekly college football playoff look here. I guess we should go ahead and get into some real good stuff here. We can recap the games from last week in the NFL here. All right. I guess we'll let Shaq get it started here. And we got Denver taking on Chicago here. I mean, Brock Osweiler making his first start as the Denver quarterback. He actually played a pretty efficient game, 250 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and that defense, they do what they do. They got to Jay Cutler. They made life really difficult. I mean, Jeremy Langford got into the end zone, cutting the lead to 17-15, but that defense, they come through, they shut down Chicago late, and they hold on for the 17-15 win, getting themselves to 8-2, just in time to take on your New England Patriots. So what was your take on this game here, Shaq?
You know, I have a couple of friends that live in the Chicagoland area, and I happened to watch the game myself. And what struck out to me really was that the Bears receivers were getting open a lot against the Broncos secondary. And there were players called, I don't know, Bellamy and Wilson, you know, some of these guys you would think from MTV or something, but, you know, not Alshon Jeffrey and Eddie Royal, who were both out with injuries. But you had Bennett, who was open out a lot, along with the tight end Miller. And I think, well, we'll talk about this when we talk about the Patriots later and the game against the Broncos, but I think if the Patriots offensive line can improve and if Gronk rebounds from whatever he's sick was, I think that they'll be able to get open against the Broncos secondary because the Bears were really getting open a lot. It was just a matter of Jay Cutler being Jay Cutler. And if you know what Jay Cutler is, he's prone to throwing the interception, and that's pretty much what happened against the Broncos secondary. And obviously the Broncos secondary has a tendency to pick off passes with Aqib Talib and Chris Harris Jr., and they were just able to capitalize on it. And so that's pretty much what happened. It was a low-scoring game. It wasn't anything to write home about if you were a fan of watching high-scoring games. But, yeah, I think there was a lot to watch for in this game. I think the Bears, coming off 2 straight wins, I think they kind of looked past this game, if that makes any type of sense. But I really don't think that the Broncos, even though Brock Osweiler did a pretty good job managing the game and being efficient, I don't think this was really a test. I think this is going to be a big test going against the Patriots, number 1 defense in the NFL. So we'll talk about that later. But as far as this game, it was just very interesting to watch the Broncos. So.
Okay, good take there. What was your take on Denver-Chicago there, Sam?
I also got to watch a fair amount of this game, and I think Shaq covered a lot with the talk about the receivers getting open in this game, which I noticed as well. My big question on this game, when you get down to the end of this game, Langford scores a touchdown, makes it 17-15. I mean, you're going for a 2-point conversion. I don't like handing the ball off there. To me, you've got to go in the air there. You got to trust Cutler to get that 2-point conversion. Denver's defense is too good to ask that running back to score there from the 2. I really thought that was a very iffy decision. And to me, I think in the end it cost them an opportunity to go to overtime. And that was something that really stood out for me watching that football game and watching the ending of that game.
Yeah, good point there. I mean, I was thinking they were going to the air too. I think what happened was John Fox, he got his macho up and wanted to show Denver what they were missing out on. So he took a lot of chances in this football game that he normally wouldn't take. So I think pretty much he got his macho up, and that's what cost him the football game. Denver 17, Chicago 15. Now we move on here to a team who, I was very optimistic about this team at the start of the season. I love these guys to death, but they just piss me off so much sometimes. And we're talking about the Oakland Raiders. They start the season 4-3. Going into November, sure, you had a couple of tough games with Pittsburgh and Minnesota, but you cannot lose football games like this at Detroit. Sure, the Lions, they got the win over Green Bay. You think they're flying high. But, yeah, I just can't really put my finger on them losing that game to Detroit. Stafford, he played very well. So did Calvin Johnson. Our rush defense does seem to have returned quite a bit. So all went well there. And Amari Cooper, dude, you dropping all these football passes. I cannot understand for the life of me what goes on with this guy. He's a very dynamic talent. But you cannot have 5 drops in a football game. So he's really got to square that away. And the Raiders, I don't know how at 4-6, they're still hanging on in this playoff race. Derek Carr, he got away with a lot of ridiculous passes Sunday, and we really got to square that away, and we're going to get back into this playoff race. Detroit, congratulations, you won 18-13. Putrid performance by the Raiders. Anything you guys want to say about this game?
Well, first of all, go ahead, Sam.
I was going to tell you to go ahead, Shaq.
First of all, Romy, it was just a very dismal performance by the Raiders. I was following the game via radio because I wasn't actually near TV for this game, but I don't know, maybe blame the 10 a.m. Pacific start time or anything like that. Any kind of a disadvantage created by something that should have been overridden by the non-greatness of the Lions. But I don't know. What I really want to know from this game is where the heck was Amari Cooper? The dude was so impressive in the first half of the Raiders' schedule. The final scoreboard was, 1 catch. He had 4 yards, and I think he dropped 2 passes as well. So that's kind of depressing for a rookie like that who was on his way to becoming Rookie of the Year. And it's just a disappointing performance by him. The Raiders didn't turn over the ball, so that was pretty good. But there was a big penalty by Donald Penn at the end in the end zone that resulted in a Raiders fourth-quarter safety, and that was really bad. And even more of a momentum swing factor than the 2 points what the Lions did. So it's just an overall bad performance. But the thing about it is Derek Carr is on track to becoming a top-tier NFL quarterback, but again, like you always say, Romy, and I listen to your Raiders show with Jim, once or twice a game, he just makes a throw that just says, Yeah, the guy is a second-year quarterback, and that happened again. And in the third quarter, that happened again when he just threw an ill-advised pass that was intended to Crabtree and just went easily picked off. And, yeah, he's going to have to get that squared away if he really wants to become a real something in the NFL. So, yeah, just really bad performance by the Raiders. And the Lions, I don't know. Maybe something's up with them. I don't know what's going on. But, yeah, just a bad game.
Well, I did say that this game did scare me because Detroit, they're playing for jobs right now. And pretty much with the Raiders, I mean, nobody's going to get fired. I think they've shown enough to at least give Reggie McKenzie another season to continue to build this franchise. So Detroit, they played more desperate. They got the win, and they showed on the field. Your take, Sand?
Oh, first of all, to me, that's a growing pain game for a second-year quarterback who has shown a lot of flashes of greatness. And I think that's a step-back game for him. He didn't play well. I know Cooper dropped a few balls in that game. Cooper's a rookie too. Please remember that. And I think that's just a little bit of a maturity issue there, where sometimes he's ahead of himself. And I think that's why he made some poor throws in that game, getting ahead of himself. I think one issue with Oakland that's kind of bothering me a lot, and that I was kind of high on Oakland this year. I don't think they get Murray into these games enough. I really don't. I think he's a weapon, and I don't think they're utilizing him right. And I do, I know they like to go to Crabtree, they like to go to Cooper. They're big receivers, and Crabtree is basically rewriting his script of himself again. He's become really good there. But you got to get Murray more into this game, and you got to balance his offense out a little bit better. You can't be losing to a team like Detroit in a playoff run. It shouldn't have happened, and I think Carr has to take the blame for that first.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're the quarterback, you're the leader. You got to stand up and say, hey, that's on me. And I'm sure he did because, that's just the kind of guy he is. But before we move on from this game, I just want to say it's weird to me that the Oakland Raiders are still one game out of the final playoff spot in the AFC. With all the crap football they're playing, all they got to do is get on a roll, and they'll be right there playing important football in December. It starts Sunday in Tennessee, though. All right, I see we got Matt Dulcan on here. And before we move on to him, let's get one more West game out of the way here. We got St. Louis and Baltimore here. And this game really, this is kind of for people who have trouble sleeping. The offense was bad. Case Keenum, that guy was worse than Nick Foles. Todd Gurley got in the end zone again. I think that guy's probably the only bright spot for the Rams. And tough news for Baltimore. They lose Justin Forsett and Joe Flacco, and I think they're just kind of folding up the tent here. So Baltimore, St. Louis, a game that was played basically because the NFL said it had to be played. Ravens 16, Rams 3. Good. Shaq, discuss.
Yeah, not that I'm going to say karma is a B, but I have to say it. But it's never a good thing when your quarterback goes out for the season. It's never a good thing when your running back goes out for the season. And unfortunately for the Ravens, both things happen in the same game, and that's very, very unfortunate for the Ravens. As far as the Rams are concerned, I have no comment about them. Really, they looked like they were going to be good with Todd Gurley, but it's just not coming to pass. And that's pretty much it. As far as the Case Keenum concussion is concerned, that's a story that's going on all over the place, and we all know how the NFL feels about that, so I don't think I have to go too much into that. So you can go ahead, Sam.
Well, I was going to say, I actually think that the report on Frank Gifford today kind of had something to do with that, the timing with announcing he discovered on his autopsy that he had CTE, and you had this whole Keenan thing up with the incorrect protocol being done on his concussion. I don't think that's an accident that came out today because there's so much scrutiny going on over the Keenum situation. Now, as far as this game is concerned, I think the Rams-Ravens would have been a perfect game for right after Thanksgiving, after you've loaded yourself up with tryptophan and red wine, because these are two teams that are going to put you to sleep. And as far as the injuries to Flacco and Forsett, look, it's a shame, obviously, but they weren't going anywhere this season. The Ravens are a done team. They may in some ways may be better off, because they're going to probably finish up like 4-12, 3-13, and end up with a top 3 or 4 pick. So in some ways, it might have been a blessing in disguise. And the Rams, they're one of the most disappointing teams in the NFL. Every year you hear about this. They got this great defense. But now they got Todd Gurley. We all watch Todd Gurley, and he's great. And you're going, why isn't his team winning football games? Why are they 4-6? It's hard to put your finger on it, but there's just something not right with the culture of that team. Maybe that's the team that really needs to move to L.A. At least that's my opinion on the Rams.
Hey, the L.A. Rams, there'd be a lot of people here that would be happy about that there. So you make a good point there, Sam. and that was St. Louis versus Baltimore. We'll recap the rest of the West in a bit, and right now it's time for all you fantasy football fans to get your pens and paper ready, because it's time for you to make a little bit of money. And we got my main man, Matt Dulcan, here to do that, just that very thing for you. You don't want to talk to me about money making. I'm just pretty much in the way here. So I'm going to let the money man do his thing. Take it away, Matt. How you doing tonight? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. I'm doing great. How are you guys tonight?
We're doing excellent, man. I'm glad to have you on here tonight, and I'm going to let you do your thing.
All right, let's get right to it. I'm sorry to do this to you, Jerome, but, we're going to start with attacking the Raiders. You know how they're weak at the tight end. So who are we going to play this week? Delaney Walker, 6,100 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DraftKings. I feel like earlier in the season, tight ends versus the Raiders were basically just plug and play. You just locked them in every week, and they were just going off. And statistically, they're still bottom tier against the tight end, and I think that's the place to beat them. Their outside corners have shown some promise here and there, even though they do get burned a lot. But I mean, the inside, that's where you want to beat them. And Delaney runs a lot of routes. He's the main target for Marcus Mariota, and I really love this guy this week. Another guy I love who showed out last week versus Darrelle Revis with Anco. There was an injury at the end, but he was balling on him. DeAndre Hopkins versus New Orleans, 9,400 on FanDuel, 9,100 on DraftKings. This is going to be your cash game play. He's a target leader with 135 looks. He had two touchdowns and 118 yards versus Darrelle Revis and co., as I said, and only 5 receptions. The upside on this guy, the boom, the big splash plays, that's his thing. He just turns 5 catches into so many fantasy points. And, we got Brian Hoyer most likely coming back this week. Yates didn't look too bad, but I still like Hopkins, paired with Hoyer a little better. And, Houston's expected to trail according to the spread, and that's just many passes for the Texans. And you know where they're going to, DeAndre Hopkins. Next, let's get into a little defensive play that I love this week. Cleveland Browns facing Baltimore. Now, I know people might be targeting them this week with Buck Allen, Jaforius Allen, but you know what? I don't think that guy's going to get it done. And even if they do give up, 14 to 21 points, you'll be okay, because there's definitely going to be at least one pick six in this game. You guys know about it. Jerome knows about it. Matt Schaub, Mr. Pick Six. Cleveland Browns defense, 4,600 on FanDuel, 2,000 on DraftKings, basically plug and play right there. In 16 starts in 2013 and 14, he threw 16 interceptions and 10 touchdowns. And I don't even know how many fumbles he had. I don't have the numbers here, but, I would bet it's a lot. Next, let's get into my premier quarterback of the week. And this guy's going to come at a discount, Eli Manning at Washington. This is also my shootout of the week. I think you want to target a lot of guys in this game, especially in the passing game on both sides. There's going to be a high volume of scoring, 2 really bad secondaries and okay units up front. And you're going to want to get Eli Manning in your lineups at the discount, 7,700 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DraftKings. They got a high team total. According to Vegas, they're slated to score 24.25 points. There's not a lot of high team total games this week, so that's pretty decent for what we're looking at this week. And on a point per dollar basis, you can't really beat that, especially on FanDuel at 7,700. Washington has been getting demolished, ceding at least 2 passing touchdowns in the last 5 weeks. That's every week, including Cam Newton's 4-touchdown destruction last week. The run game is not good. You know where the ball is going to go to, which is going to take me to my next guy, completing the stack of the week. ODB. Oh, wait, not ODB. We decided OBJ. 9,100 on FanDuel, 8,700 on DraftKings. I think he's my favorite play of the week, and I might go all in on this guy. As I said before, this is the shootout. The Giants' side of the ball is way easier to predict where the fantasy points are going to go. Odell Beckham, he's the man there. Like I said, their running game is just not working out. On to the next one. here's a guy I love. In the same shootout, Jordan Reed, Kirk Cousins' favorite option in the passing game, target leader week to week. The New York secondary has been getting roasted left and right, and they allow the third most fantasy points to tight end, so, they can really get beat there. Let's get into a guy I know everybody is talking about this week. When I wrote my article, I wasn't sure if people were going to be on him, even though there was the recency bias of him going off last week versus San Francisco for the most yards they have ever allowed in history. Thomas Rawls versus Pittsburgh, 6,300 on FanDuel, 4,500 on DraftKings. I like this guy more as a tournament play because, Pittsburgh is the best run-stopping unit in terms of fantasy points allowed to halfbacks, and they're top 5 in yards allowed per game on the ground. But, Rawls is special. This is nice. It's like the OBJ thing. You know where the fantasy points are going to go. He got 30 carries last week. This guy is going to be the most involved player in the offense. I bet he springs one, and, he'll be singing like Lou Rawls when he butts this game.
Ooh, that's pretty interesting. I haven't heard a Lou Rawls reference yet. Hey, that's a good one there, Matt.
I had to go there.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that here. Okay, so I guess I'll start the Q&A here. Do you think that with Matt Forte's possible return tomorrow, you still see Jeremy Langford being a guy that will get a few carries and stay relevant as far as fantasy goes?
The way I see that shaking out is they're going to split the carries. Unless we get like an official report before tomorrow, which I don't expect because, it's the late game, maybe on a late swap site, but, on FanDuel. But, yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay, well, good point there. And Oakland, Tennessee here, you say Delaney Walker should have a pretty big day. How do you feel about Mariota having a pretty big day against a depleted Raider defense who's still trying to get over losing Aldon Smith?
I love Marcus Mariota as a tournament play only. He had the 4-touchdown performance in his debut. He's been up and down with 5 weeks scoring under 15 fantasy points, and he only topped 20 twice all year. I like him for a blow-up. The Raiders are hemorrhaging the 6th most fantasy points to wide receivers. They moved up 3 spots in terms of how good they are against the position last week, and but they are allowing the 3rd most average pass yards per game at 290.5. So yeah, I love them in the tournaments, but not safe for cash.
I have a question for Matt, and by the way, happy holidays to you, Matt.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you.
Oh, thank you. The Sandman wants to know about what you think about Spencer Ware as a play this week.
Spencer Ware. I'm not sure if Charkandrick West is going to play. They say it's a strain, so he's probably doubtful. I don't know. I don't feel like there's a reason to necessarily target this game. I mean, he is he's going to be low priced, but it's against the Bills defense. Alex Smith is the quarterback. I don't know. I don't feel the need to go that way when there's, such a big slate this week with no teams on a bye. There's just a lot of other places I'd like to look.
So I might as well ask, would you play Jonathan Stewart over him?
Yes. That's like a firm yes. I love Jonathan Stewart this week, and, I think he's my favorite running back if you're looking at the Thursday-only slate. We got a lot of beautiful big contests, big tournaments that are, Thursday only on that 3-game slate, and he's my top running back there.
Okay, thank you very much. I had to make a decision, and you just convinced me.
Yes, sir.
You got any fantasy questions over there, Shaq?
Yeah, Matt, this is Shaq. I'm curious about what you think about Devontae Freeman. He's kind of been a streaky kind of player the last couple of weeks. He hasn't given me a lot of points. So I'm curious what you think, especially if he's cleared to play on Sunday. Do you think he'll be able to feast on the Vikings or not?
I'm not too high on him this week. The Vikings have been playing great defense. They're 26th against the position. So, it's a great contrarian play. I don't think a lot of people are going to be looking at him, especially at his high price tag this week. But, the Vikings have been playing great defense, and, you know, I'm not really targeting them at all. The only part of the defense I'm targeting is Xavier Rhodes. He's one of the bottom-ranked corners according to PFF. You know, if you look at their wide receiver versus cornerback charts this week, you have Julio Jones as the biggest advantage in all the field, matched up against Xavier Rhodes, who he's expected to, you know, run most of his snaps against. So, you know, Julio makes a great play, but I don't think I'm really on Freeman this week.
And one more. I know this might sound a little bit silly to ask because, I mean, this guy's a stud always, but Antonio Brown of the Steelers, I'm wondering if he really is a sure thing, especially against the Seattle defense, even though they haven't been up to squat in this recent weeks.
You know, it's just not somewhere that I'm necessarily going, you know. It's not – I can't see him producing. I mean, he has the best matchup. Oh, actually, you know, look, Martavis Bryant actually has a better matchup versus Kerry Williams this week. You have Antonio Brown, who's going to be facing off with Richard Sherman primarily, but, you know, they still have him as an advantage over here on Pro Football Focus. So, you know, I could definitely see him having a good game. I mean, we saw Carson Palmer have a good game. They're clearly not the same secondary that they used to be. So I think that's a great, you know, tournament contrarian play, and I might have to, you know, take a longer look at him.
All right, cool. Thanks, man.
No problem.
Well, Matt, I'm going to use some of these picks here that you, Shaq, Sandman gave me tonight, and hopefully it makes me a little bit of money. I'm definitely going to go with Marcus Mariota and Delaney Walker because, I mean, I can't really lose here. If these guys don't make me any money, that means that the Raiders most likely won the football game, so I guess I'm going to go ahead and hedge here.
Hey, how about you know, a Jeremy Langford sleeper for you, a Turkey Day sleeper? You want that?
Oh, I'll work with that. That works for me also.
So if you're looking to get a little differentiation in the field on the Thursday slate, Martellus Bennett has been ruled out with a rib injury. We've seen Zach Miller flash a couple big plays the last couple weeks. He is 2,900 on DraftKings, and Green Bay allows the 7th most fantasy points to tight ends. So that's a sleeper guy I love this week. I see his floor is 5 targets, and I could see him getting up to 10. You know, 5,100 on FanDuel, not as attractive, but DraftKings at 2,900, you could really do a lot with your lineup there.
Yeah, he can really clean up there. I mean, he's had a lot of big touchdown catches over the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, I mean, that will be something to look forward to also here. And, hey, Matt, thank you again for another great segment. I mean, you always do a great job for us, man, and you're more than welcome anytime. Hey, you should stick around with us the rest of the show tonight. We got some good stuff coming up. You should stick around and take a listen.
I think I will. Thanks for having me, guys. Check out my stuff on xnsports.com and thirddown.com. I appreciate it, fellas. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you also, Matt. Thank you again tonight. All right, before we move on here to finishing up our recaps, before we start our New England-Denver discussion here, do any of you guys believe that the Golden State Warriors, who got to 16-0 by demolishing my Los Angeles Lakers last night, do you think that they can challenge Chicago's record of 72 wins? And if so, how many wins do you believe that they'll have? We'll begin with you, Shaq.
You know what? The way it's looking in the West right now, I'm even though the West is always a tough place to even consider doing that, I think they're probably going to win a few more games before losing. I say they go 21-0 before losing their first game. It's a lot tough to do it in the West, but yeah, the way they look right now, it pretty much came as a surprise to me that they were even 16-0 when I saw it. And I was like, wow. But yeah, I think they'll be able to win a few more games, but I don't think they'll be able to be undefeated. So.
So, how many regular season wins do you have them putting up this year? Shaq?
You know what? I'm going to say, you know what? The way they look right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they had upwards of 55 to 60 wins. I mean, they look really, really good.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they go way over 60, but I'll do my prediction later here. Sandman, what do you got for Golden State so far?
Well, I mean, I'm very impressed. I'm sure you are as well. 16-0 is an amazing start. Obviously, they're the defending NBA champions. They're an incredible team. 72 wins in the West. You really are asking a lot to accomplish that feat. But I gotta say, it's possible. Watching them play, if they stay healthy, and then that's the big key. If they stay healthy, we know that when NBA is a long season. It's a grind. It's a more physical sport than people realize. It's really rough on the legs, rough on the back, but I think it's possible for them. I really do. Do I think they're going to do it? No, but I definitely don't think it's out of the realm, and I'm going to predict that they end up winning about 70 games.
70 ain't bad. My only concern is, you made a great point there, Sam. Injuries are a very important part of any thing that you try to do, especially with a long sprint such as the NBA. If they can stay healthy, and I'm going to go ahead and add this extra dimension into it, and take every game seriously along with playing healthy. There are sometimes you get into January, February, you have a little lull, the games just start to bore you, you're ready for the main event. If Golden State can get up for every game, take every game serious, there is no reason why they can't win 70 games. I think that their chief competition in the West, the LA Clippers, they've already defeated them twice. Sure, San Antonio may be a bit of a problem, but I do think playing small ball that they match up well against the Spurs. So if they can get 2-3 wins against those guys, and pretty much just run the table against everybody else, 70 wins is right there. Hey, why not win 72 or 73? So Golden State, they've got a good shot at it just as long as you stay healthy and you take every game serious. And that was all week, and that was my NBA thing there. Golden State, we don't really talk about them too much on this program, although we probably should since they're the defending NBA champions, and they've got a very dynamic backcourt led by Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. So we'll be talking about these guys a lot more in the future. And, man, the way they crushed my L.A. Lakers, I think we're seeing the birth of a dynasty out there in Oakland. Ugh. And it hurts me to say it, but, yeah, we may be seeing the birth of a dynasty with those guys. So,
I'm also a little shocked here. We're talking about all this great Golden State Warriors team, but what about these Philadelphia 76ers? There's a story right there, don't you think?
Well, they're 0-16 now, Stan, and they're 3 losses away from breaking that record to start the season held by the New Jersey Nets, who started 0-18 back in 2010. So my thing is, Philadelphia, they have a really, really weird process as far as their evolution of their program. I think it's kind of broken because you trust a player such as Joel Embiid, you're paying him, and he's never played a single game for you. Sure, you seem to have found a couple of diamonds in the rough, though, in Nerlens Noel and Jahlil Okafor. I still think Philadelphia needs to find a point guard before I can start to say, okay, I trust your process. You don't have a point guard. Your general manager just pretty much looks like a crackpot at this point. At Philadelphia, they may struggle to win 15 games this season. I don't think they'll go 9-73, which is the previous NBA record. But, yes, they will struggle to win 15 games this year.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think they're going to win probably in that realm of 12 to 15, and they honestly are probably a point guard away from being a team that can actually become a playoff threat. So, you know what? Another bad year, another high draft pick, get a point guard to go with Noel and to go with Okafor. And then, if Embiid ever comes back, he's going to be well rested. And that would be a hell of a front court that they have there, and you get a good young point guard in, that could become a dangerous team fast.
Yeah, exactly. They say trust the process. In Philadelphia, they hit on a couple more of these teams. A couple more drafts, 3-4 years. You look at a team that should be able to contend for the playoffs. But, yeah, without a point guard, this just pretty much looks like the general manager is a crackpot. What do you think about the 76ers process over there, Shaq?
Well, I know all too well about general managers who are crackpots. One James Dolan being one of them. But and I certainly remember last season with the Knicks going 17-65. So I think this 76ers team is probably worse than that Knicks team, and that Knicks team was just terrible. So yeah, they have nothing going for them, and they're probably going to lose 70 games. I think that's terrible.
Yeah, they got a shot at it. But the thing is, no matter how bad Philadelphia is, they will not set a new record given the fact that they already own the record for the lowest wins in the 82-game season. They only won 9 games back in 72-73. So they could just probably set a record that they have already. So they wouldn't be breaking anything. And that was
yeah,
look at the.
Oh,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Shaq. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as an aside, I mean, for Philadelphia, I mean, I know this is the West show, but Jesus Christ, with the Eagles and then the Phillies this past season, I mean, they just cannot catch a break, but whatever.
Well, Santa Claus is going to get hit with a lot more than snowballs this year.
Oh, yeah, he'll be hit with bricks and baseball bats. And, man, the holiday season doesn't seem like it's going to be too good for the Philadelphia Eagles either. I mean, you got a game at Detroit who seems to be resurgent. Then after that, you have to travel to Foxborough and take on the New England Patriots. So whoever drew up the schedule really didn't do the city of Philadelphia as far as basketball or football any favors. So I'd hate to be them this season.
Yeah, not a good. And really, the Phillies are probably going to be in last place. Yeah, they may as well just shut the city down.
Yeah, pretty much. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a fun year for anything Philadelphia related. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be crazy, man.
It doesn't look good, I can say that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get here back to our NFL here. I mean, we got Kansas City, San Diego. Kansas City just rolled. We'll run through this real quick here. Kansas City stopped the Chiefs 33-3. I mean, they look like they're just the Chargers. They look like they're just ready to get to L.A. and just say forget it. Phillip Rivers seems to be the only thing going there. The team's depleted by injury. In Kansas City, they seem to be very resurgent now with Charcandrick West. And Spencer Ware actually played pretty well. I'm sure people are kind of looking at him for waiver wire. He got himself a couple of touchdowns, especially if Charcandrick West can't go this week against Buffalo. But that's another story for another day here. San Diego at 2-8. I think they're pretty much finished here. All right, so moving on here, we got San Francisco taking on Seattle, another team who was pretty much just kind of folding up the tent. They got rid of Colin Kaepernick this week. I mean, he had the shoulder surgery, so he's out for the season. I mean, Blaine Gabbert, he's not playing too bad given the deck that's stacked against him. But the 49ers, I mean, they just don't have the talent to compete right now. The Seahawks, they're still battling for that playoff spot, and I think they may have found themselves a New York running back in Thomas Rawls going over 200 yards rushing. Russell Wilson seemed to have found his game last week also, along with Doug Baldwin in that defense. If they can continue to play well, Seattle may just have one last run left in them. Or maybe I'm just talking because they beat down the 49ers. But that remains to be seen. We'll talk about them at a later time. Seattle 29, San Francisco 13. Okay, and before we get to New England, Denver, we'll recap this big one here Sunday night, Cincinnati and Arizona. Man, those guys, they went back and forth with each other all night long. Carson Palmer, Andy Dalton. Touchdown pass after touchdown pass. Man, it was a fun football game. The Cardinals jumped out 31-21. Dalton brought his boys right back. They were inches away from taking the lead, but A.J. Green couldn't keep his feet in on a deflection late in the game. And then with about a minute left, Palmer takes Arizona right back down the field, going about 75 yards to set up the game-winning field goal. Arizona 34, Cincinnati 31. I mean, it's only November 25th tonight, and I really don't want to make any weird predictions, but I would not be shocked if we see part two with Dalton and Palmer going at it again February 7th in San Francisco. Talk to me, Sam. What was your takeaway from this match?
Well, can you? Which game are you talking about again now? Sorry.
We're talking about Cincinnati and Arizona right now.
That was a great football game. I mean, a little bit more offense than I expected. Did you think you were going to see a little bit more of a defensive struggle between those two teams? And, Dalton, who normally tends to sag as we get to the second half of the season, that's been his forte so far. Played really well first half of the year, started to drop off second half of the year, and then in the playoffs he almost should just stay in the locker room. But I thought he had a really good game against a really good defense at Arizona. I thought the Cardinals would win that game, and I thought it would be close. I just didn't think it was going to be a high-scoring affair. And giving credit to Carson Palmer, I think he's the underrated story of the season in the NFL. How good has he been?
He's been great so far. I mean, I think Arizona would have had a serious shot at taking Seattle down last year had they not lost Palmer last year to the ACL. And he's showing Arizona, and he's showing the NFL, hey, this Cardinal team can't compete for a championship if Palmer is 100%. So, hey, I'm on board with CP3.
Yeah, agreed.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Shane. Go ahead.
I think Arizona, to me, team to beat in the NFC.
Well, there's a guy over there in Charlotte, North Carolina that may have something to say about that. But, hey, it's not really far-fetched to think that Arizona could be one of those teams. So, hey, it's a good prediction there, Sam. Hopefully those two get it on in late January sometime. It'd be a very fun football game.
I was kind of hoping for Dallas.
Well, you guys are mathematically still alive, so hey, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I know. I can dream, can't I?
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. This is the time of year to dream. I mean, hell, I still think the Raiders can make the playoffs, but I'm sure if we lose Sunday to Tennessee, I'm going to look really, really stupid saying nonsense like that, but that's another story. Yeah. What's your takeaway from Cincinnati, Arizona over there, Shaq?
Yeah, this was one of the games this season that actually had me on the edge of my seat without it being a Patriots game. It was just an exciting game, and it's about time that one of these primetime games become exciting because other than this one, I mean, there's just not been anything to write home about on Sunday night or Thursday night or Monday night. So, yeah, it was a lot of offense back and forth. It was very exciting, and it was just good to watch. And I really loved the fact that Cincinnati lost the game, but it was just very exciting. Any team could have won it. It was just a really good game.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really enjoy watching it too. Usually Sunday night football, I'm falling asleep halfway through it. But yeah, I was excited for this one the whole way through. It was a great football game, and as I said, I'd love to see these guys do it again in February, but that's a long way off. Cincinnati, they fall short 34-31 here. And now it's time for a subject that I'm sure we waited all night for here, and we got ourselves, sure, this game doesn't have as much of the luster as it had if Peyton Manning was going in this game, but you still got a young Brock Osweiler, and, hey, maybe this could be the start of a new tradition, Brady versus Osweiler. We got the New England Patriots taking on the Denver Broncos here. Big game for both teams. New England can't clinch the AFC East with a win Sunday and some help, while Denver is trying to stay on track for a first-round bye here. We were supposed to have P.D. Bronco along to talk about this football game also, along with our main man, Shaq, but we don't have him tonight. So I guess we'll go ahead and get it started here by letting Shaq break down how he feels about this match. Shaq, it's your squad versus a big-time opponent on the road, national TV. Take it away.
Well, first of all, of course, there's no team in any sport that manages to make crazy statements like, the Patriots could possibly lose, then the Patriots. Because, I mean, whenever you have a situation where Brady last Monday night was just absolutely torched and crushed with an offensive line that just couldn't protect him, I mean, you have yourself a situation where it could possibly be the same up in Denver this weekend. And of course, it doesn't bode well that the Belichick Brady Patriots are 2-5 in Denver, including playoffs. And their wide receivers are depleted. Danny Amendola, which we've talked about a lot, is pretty much hurt. Aaron Dobson is hurt, and obviously it leaves a lot of interesting matchups to go by. But they still have Gronk. They still have a lot of guys. Of course, they still have Brady. But the thing I think it's going to come down to is the trenches. And the Patriots are the number one defense in the league. And I think that I really don't think that the Broncos, especially the Bears, I think they had about 170 yards rushing last week. And the fact that both DeMarcus Ware and Matt that didn't practice this week, I think it's very interesting. That bodes well for them. But all in all, in short, because I know you're going to have to go soon, I really don't see the Denver Broncos scoring in the 20s. If they did, it would be very surprising to me because Bill Belichick knows the Mike Shanahan / Gary Kubiak offense, and that's cold. And Wade Phillips, he is a blitzing machine, and Tom Brady with this is just crazy. I expect Demaryius Thomas to be double and triple teamed, sometimes with Malcolm Butler, sometimes with Logan Ryan, sometimes with Devin McCourty. I don't expect Emmanuel Sanders, if he plays or not, to be a factor. You never know. I expect a lot of two tight end sets and Denver trying to run the football. I am concerned about their receivers on the other side, like Vernon Davis and Owen Daniels and Anderson on the checkdowns. I think that the Patriots are going to play a decent amount of base and big nickel. I think it'll be a high snap count for a guy like Tavon Wilson. And this is the type of game where I think Jamie Collins would be huge, but he has been sick for the last 3 weeks or so I'm not sure if he's going to even play. All in all, I think it'll be a win for the Patriots, but it won't be a win that a lot of national people are used to seeing. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I said on the Flying Elvis Faithful yesterday, I said 20-17. I think it could be something up as low as 13-10. I think it could be that much of a close game.
Well, it's like I said last night on your show myself, Shaq, I do believe that the defenses are going to rule the day in this game. Brock Osweiler, I mean, this is his first time really on the big stage, and the thing I think that's going to be one of the things that really helps him. Because, I mean, you mentioned, or you or Josh, one of you guys, you mentioned that Belichick does struggle early on with quarterbacks that he hasn't seen before. And Osweiler, he's got the athleticism to make life really, really difficult for New England early on. And that defense, say you guys don't have Amendola, it's going to be really, really difficult for your receivers to get away from Aqib Talib and Chris Harris. And I think that's where Denver's going to earn their bones here. Osweiler, he's going to have enough time. He'll be able to find wide receivers such as Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders and Andre Caldwell. And I think this will be the difference in this game. It's going to be a very, very low-scoring defensive battle. And as I said last night, I think Denver ends New England's unbeaten season here. Broncos 17, Patriots 16. What do you guys say, man?
Well, first off, I was going to start this event here by inadvertently blowing a whistle to stop your show. Well, you know, it didn't happen. But we're talking in reference to the Buffalo game last week. But no, this game, I agree with both of you on the fact that it's going to be a game based on the defenses. I don't see a lot of points being scored. Obviously, both teams have very stout defenses, and both teams are banged up offensively. Obviously, you're going to naturally look at this game and say, Tom Brady and Osweiler, who are you going to pick? Who are you going to pick? You're going to pick Brady over him. My problem, and honestly, I think this game is basically hinged on Amendola. I really think that if Amendola doesn't play, I think Denver wins this football game. I don't see them being able to move the ball if Amendola's not there. They'll double Gronk if they have to. And that, to me, the Patriots' running game isn't all that good. Denver has a good run defense to begin with. I agree they're going to blitz Brady a lot, and they have the guys that can cover one-on-one on top of it. If I think Amendola is a key. Dobson obviously isn't going to play according to what I heard, and I'm going to take Denver in this game by a score of 16-13. And I think a big turnover is going to happen somewhere in this game. That's going to be the difference. And I think the woes that the Patriots have had in Denver through the Belichick era are going to continue.
Okay, well, we both have low-scoring football games here. We got 2 for Denver, 1 for New England. And I'm sure if we had PD, Bronco, and Josh along, it'd be 3-2. But it's going to be a really good football game. Hopefully by that point I still have a little bit of turkey and cranberry sauce left, and I can finish it off while finishing off Week 12 here. But here on the West Coast recess here, we have to predict Week 12 together here. So I guess that starts our prediction segment here. All right, we got about 4 minutes left, so we'll start our lightning round here. We will begin with the St. Louis Rams taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Rams, they've got Case Keenum injured, and they may have to go back to Nick Foles. And Cincinnati, they're coming off of a crushing loss to Arizona. I think the Bengals, they'll be ready. They're going to destroy the Rams, 24-10, I'll say. What you guys saying?
I got the Bengals winning this game pretty easily myself, and I have the very close to yours. I just have a 27-10 Cincinnati.
Okay. What you got over there, Shaq?
Well, I just want to say that, when Wes Welker announced to the world that he was going to return, everybody's groaned. But, especially what we talked about with Case Keenum, I hope that he realizes that he needs to get himself out of there. But all that being said, Cincinnati's going to roll. I say 37-10.
Yeah, Bengals easy here. All right, up next here, we got the Raiders and the Titans here. Man, the Raiders, they're reeling. They've lost 3 straight. They haven't looked particularly impressive, say, for the Pittsburgh game in either of these losses. Derek Carr, he has to find his mojo again. Latavius Murray's got to hit the holes. They seem to have found something with this fullback, Jameis Olawale. And defense, though, going up against young guys such as Marcus Mariota, I mean, he can get out the pocket, he can run. He's going to make life very difficult for the Raiders. If we can find a way to slow that down, we should have a shot to win this game. I'm going to say the Raiders, they find some way. I don't know how. They keep themselves relevant in the AFC race at least one more week. Raiders 19, Titans 16. Sand.
I've been on that Raider bandwagon a lot this year. For some reason, I think that the cart's rolling down the hill for Oakland right now, and Mariota's looked really good. Looks like he's improving with each week, and I like to go back to what Matt said about the tight end, and I think Delaney Walker's going to have a monster game. I think it's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. I don't think it's going to be low scoring. I'm going to go with Tennessee beating Oakland by a score of 31-27.
Not bad. All right, what you got there, Shaq?
Yeah, I'm going the same route. I think that there's a possibility that your boy Chuck Wood will add to his league-leading 5 receptions. I think he'll have a couple against Mariota, but I don't know if that'll matter that much. I think Oakland is just on the tailspin, unfortunately, Romy. So I'm going to say Tennessee Titans 20, Oakland. Well, actually, no, you know what? I'm going to go a little bit higher. Tennessee 23, Oakland 20.
Oh, okay. Okay, we got 2 Titans, 1 Raider. Okay, here. Now here we got ourselves a big early game here in the AFC. We got 5-5 Kansas City taking on 5-5 Buffalo. Buffalo fought very valiantly last week in a losing effort against New England. They just have to find the offense. Tyrod Taylor seems to be nursing some kind of shoulder ailment, and I think that could hinder him against a very big physical defense Kansas City has led by Tamba Hali and by Justin Houston. And that's going to really cause problems there. I do think Kansas City, they seem to have found their legs. They've won 4 straight. Sarcastic West Spencer Ware, it doesn't matter who the running back is. Kansas City, too much for Buffalo. They win that game 24-16. Sandman.
Well, considering that I am starting the Kansas City Chiefs defense in my fantasy league this week in a very big game, I'm going to put my faith in that, like you said, that big defense, and that Tyrod Taylor looks like he might not even play, and if he does, how effective is he going to be? And I think Kansas City will be able to run the ball somewhat with Spencer Ware. I think Alex Fitz looked great this year. We're all watching him. He's played very well. So I'm going to take Kansas City over Buffalo by a score of 20-10.
Okay. And Shaq, you going to complete the sweep?
Yes, sir. Kansas City Chefs and Alex Noodle Smith. I think Buffalo, with Tyrod Taylor not going possibly, I think that's going to be the difference. I'm going to say Kansas City 25, Buffalo 20.
Oh, okay. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, now here we have ourselves a bit of a weird kind of football game here. 2-8 San Diego taking on 4-6 Jacksonville. Man, this game seems to be a bit of there's really nothing to go on here. Blake Bortles has played pretty well in spurts this season. T.J. Yeldon, he's coming on as a running back. You got the Allen boys out there in Jacksonville, Allen Robertson. You got Allen Hurns. And their defense, is kind of underrated. You got guys such as Jonathan Cyprian, and he's up there leading that secondary. San Diego, to me, it just seems like they folded up the tent. They're ready to pack up the moving vans and get to L.A. They don't even have home fans at their home games anymore. Imagine how bad it's going to be when they go on the road. San Diego, they've given up. Jacksonville, 24. San Diego, 14. Shaq.
I'm going to say Jacksonville, too. They're probably going. I think they're going to score with the Allen Bros and all them. I think they're going to score at least 30 points on San Diego. San Diego sucks hot monkey ass. Period. So I'm going to say 30-16 Jacksonville.
All right, Sam, man, you completing the trifecta?
I'm going to complete the trifecta, and I don't even think they've packed up the truck. I think the truck's already in the parking lot of the new stadium in L.A. That's where I think San Diego already is. They don't even want to show up to this game. They have no desire to play another football game as far as I'm concerned. And I think that Jacksonville is going to beat up on them this week, 34-17.
Oh, okay. When's the last time we had a program where Jacksonville was a unanimous choice by big margin?
1997?
Something like that. It had to have been a while. All right, next up here, we got another pretty easy one here, Arizona, San Francisco. The Cardinals, they're trending up. 49ers trending down. Arizona's already beaten them 47-7. I don't see it being that bad this time, but Arizona 31, San Francisco 14. Shaq?
Can we just skip ahead to the Cardinals-Panthers NFC Championship game? Seriously. Arizona, I'm going to say Arizona for 35, San Francisco 3.
Dang. Big time beat down there. If it was
ever possible to score negative points, this might be the game that would actually happen. But I'm going to take Arizona crushing San Francisco again by a score of 31-3.
Okay, big time Arizona. Okay, and the last big game we got here, we've already run through New England and Denver here. So we got ourselves Pittsburgh versus Seattle. Roethlisberger's got himself a week off, and he looks like he's ready to take on the second half of his schedule here. You got Antonio Brown, you got Martavis Bryant, and these guys, they're going to cause major problems for the Legion of Boom. And I do believe that now you get back, D'Angelo Williams also had a week off to relax. It's going to be a pretty fun game. I think with Russell Wilson and Thomas Rawls, though, they'll be able to score a lot of points also, because going up against Pittsburgh, you're going to have to score a bit. And this is going to be probably the most exciting game of the day. I do think Sherman will make a big play at some point in this game, Seattle, they pretty much save their season at least one more week. They get the job done. They take down the Steelers with their 12th man, 27-24. What you got, Sam?
Definitely the toughest game to pick. You wonder, what can Roethlisberger do? How healthy is he going to be? I think that's going to make a difference in this game. I don't think he's coming back 100% here. I think he's going to be probably playing, in that realm of 75%. And I think when you're on the road in Seattle with a loud crowd and having you're not having the ability to audible really, I think it's going to play a factor into the game. I like Seattle in this game by a score of 27-20.
All right. What you got over there, Shaq?
Yeah, Seattle hasn't had a lot of impressive victories on their margin this season, and I think Pittsburgh being 6-4, this could possibly quantify them as one of the good victories. This could be one of those games where Seattle and Richard Sherman going against Antonio Brown. There's a lot of good matchups to watch in this game. This could be one of those games where Richard Sherman does his backflips and doing all this crap. So I'm going to pick Seattle in the 12th. I'm going to pick Seattle and the 12th man. I'm going to say Seattle 25. I'm going to say Pittsburgh 21.
Okay, we got a pretty good game there. Okay, and that was our predictions here. And, man, that was a pretty good show tonight, Sad. Deej, you guys did a great job, man. And you guys, you're wonderful guests. You're wonderful people. I'm glad to say that you were all my friends. You guys did a wonderful job tonight.
Thank you, Mama. It was a pleasure to be here. It was a pleasure to do the show with you too, DJ. I had a lot of fun. And I do want to express my disappointment in one thing, not diving into this big Cleveland-Baltimore game on Monday night. How could we not have done that?
Well, I think that game will be being discussed on the Midwest, on the NGSC Midwest recess over there, Sam. I think they got that with that whole Johnny Manziel situation.
I think I'm doing my hair that night.
I don't know. Yeah, Drew Carey might want to talk about that on his show. So yeah, I don't think this is the place to talk about that boringness.
Yeah, I mean, the turkey may put us to sleep before kickoff if you still got any left by that point. I mean, Manziel was the only reason to watch. Now there's no reason to watch it.
Well, he might be hanging out on my couch drinking a beer with me.
Oh, yeah, he could be. And dancing, and you order a few showgirls and y'all start dancing, and somebody will put that on the Internet.
Hey, I'm game.
Hey, I don't blame you. I mean, I wouldn't mind having a few over here. But that's another story for another show there. So before we go here, I just want to say thank you guys again. And so before we go, here, we're going to do something different here. Tell me a little bit about your Thanksgiving feast, Sam. We'll start with you. What's on your plate tomorrow?
Oh, actually, having a little bit of a smaller affair here tomorrow, but I always host Thanksgiving dinner. I host it for my family. Usually through the years, it's always usually been between like 12 and 16, but tomorrow I just got a half a dozen, so it's actually a little quiet tomorrow. But in a way, that's actually good for me because it makes it a little bit easier for me to watch my Cowboy game. So, I'm looking at having a nice dinner with, with Mom and my brother and his wife and a couple of my aunts and enjoying the day, enjoying the football, and hopefully everybody loves my cooking.
Well, I mean, you seem like a guy that can throw down in the kitchen, Sam, so I don't think that I have a problem eating it. You have yourself a great dinner. It's going to be great. And Shaq, tell us a little bit about what's on your plate tomorrow.
Well, it's just going to be the usual fare, the mac and cheese, the turkey, but we do our little turkey different. We put curry on it. We do a little stuffing inside. We do all the little fixings inside. So, yeah, but other than that, it'll just be the usual fare. I'm just excited for the day. I'm just excited to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and have, my parents cook up the dinner at 5 o'clock in the morning and watch the parade. That's usually a tradition that I do. So wherever you are, wherever you might be listening, I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And wherever your traditions might be, I hope you have them and hope they go out without a hitch.
Well
said. God bless you, DJ. You have a wonderful day. You too, Mama, to you and your family. Happy Thanksgiving. God bless both of you.
All right, God bless you also, Sam, and hope it's a great day here. And I should tell you guys a little bit of what I'm doing here. We're doing pretty much the customary turkey. We're having the stuffing, the scalloped potatoes, the mac and cheese. Me, I'm a big guy, so I like to eat a lot of food here. So I made the old lady cook up a bunch of good stuff. I'm going to sit down here. I'm going to dominate everything, and I'm going to be watching these football games, and we'll have ourselves a story to tell, man. It's going to be a lot of good eating, and I really look forward to it. So for all of you guys here, and whatever your tradition may be, as Shaq said, I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy the games, and I hope this weekend gives your teams good fortune. And for Shaq Croskey and for the Sandman, I'm Jerome Butler. What you got?
Oh, well, before we go, let's promote your other show. Well, first I'll promote my show since I'm here. Well, for those of you who are interested in Patriots Talk, I know it might not be a lot of you, but if you are, we still do a good job, Josh and I, on the Flying Elvis Faithful. You can hear us Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock here on NGSC, and if you don't catch us then, you can catch us on the podcast. We're doing really well on that. So listen to it. We have a lot of fun. We talk about the Patriots. We also talk about a lot of NFL news. I bash the refs a lot, so you can listen to that on the previous show. So thanks for having me on, Romy and San. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, how did I forget the promotion? I appreciate that, Shaq. And Friday night, you can find me and Jim Paskowitz over there at 9:30 Eastern over there on the Black Hole Brigade. We'll be breaking down this Oakland-Detroit debacle, and we'll be trying to figure out what's happened to the Raiders in the month of November, and hopefully that they get it well in time to defeat the Tennessee Titans. So that'll be a good show. Listen in, 9:30 Eastern, if you're not in a tryptophan-related coma from eating tons of turkey. I mean, we'll have a good show, and for Raider Nation, we'll try to figure out what's wrong with this team, and hopefully they get back on the right track. So for Shaq Croskey and for the Sandman, I'm Jerome Butler. Good night, and have yourself a wonderful Thanksgiving with lots of delicious, delicious food. Good night, and go Raiders.
Night.
Good night. Go Cowboys.
Good night.